in which Midoriya Izuku converts more people to use Gen Z terms. By Snowboo69. Read by My Lost and Found. Summary. I think the name of the fic says everything for itself. It's a crack fic where Midoriya Izuku uses Gen Z terms and slowly, by accident, creates a pseudo-cult thing where everyone uses Gen Z terms. This is a part of a series, but you don't really need to read the others to understand this fic. This fic is about 2,100 words and one chapter. It is rated general audiences, and no archive warnings apply. This is the third part in the series, in which Midoriya Izuku is a Gen Z, in spirit. As always, link to the fic is in the description, and on with the story. Cinnamon roll. Hey, Jirou? Music for ears. What? Cinnamon roll. So, do you want to help me with pranking the class again? Music for ears. As in saying the general Gen Z jokes and stuff around them to confuse them? Cinnamon roll. Yee. But also, I need to know where people are for a couple of them, and you have really good hearing, so... Fluffy cat. What you planning to do? Cinnamon roll. Well, a couple of things, but one of them is reenacting the I'm gonna drop my croissant vine, because it's a classic. A murder. When shall we share the light in this world's darkness to the others who are lost within? Cinnamon roll. Patience. We will recruit a new friend soon, but we must be patient. Fluffy cat. I can't speak in poems. What they say? Music for ears. I think they said they're gonna find other people to show the Gen Z jokes and stuff. Basically, another person to join this chat. A murder. Yes, indeed. Okay, Jirou, are they almost here? Yes, they're about to walk around the corner. Today's willing participant for this prank is none other than the Baku Squad. Holding a croissant on a plate, Izuku walked around a corner, bumping into Kaminari, pretending to lose his grip of the plate. Oh, sorry, Mirror Bro. I didn't look where I was going. You good? Izuku tried to keep a straight face. Stop! I almost dropped my croissant. He ran around the corner and into a classroom where Jirou was waiting. There was a one-way window there, so they could see how the Baku Squad reacted. All of them had very visible confusion on what had happened. It wasn't exactly how the vine went, but they didn't know that. It did get a good laugh out of Jirou as well as him. Because if the reenactment of the vine wasn't as funny, the pure looks of confusion on the Baku Squad were. Cinnamon roll. Image.confused Baku Squad. Fluffy cat. The pure looks of confusion on their face. Music for ears. I know, right? If I wasn't a lesbian, then I would literally marry Mito right now. Your plan was genius. A murder. It is quite hilarious, and Dark Shadow is apparently dying of laughter. Izuku had decided to tell the Insomnia Squad about his past, about how he was quirkless, one for all, and basically his entire life. He should be telling the Deku Squad about this since they were his first friends, but... In the Deku Squad, he was an All Might fanboy whose name was Deku, and they looked up to him like he was some kind of god. It felt so... fake. It was the complete opposite of being in the Insomnia Squad. His name was Mito, sometimes Izuku. He had a personality, and he was an equal. It's probably why it was so easy to basically trauma dump the rest of the Insomnia Squad, while in one of their meetings late in the night. When he was done trauma dumping and looked up, all of them, especially Shinsou, had just pure concern in their eyes. Maybe if he... Izuku chuckled just a little bit. It's okay. You can laugh. It's funny. Jirou just hugged him, and Dark Shadow joined a second later. Shinsou shook his head while saying, "Only you." The rest of the night was spent in the common room, with plenty of hugs and platonic cuddles. Mario Kart was a favorite in the dorms. Although only 4 people could play at a time, it was still very fun. Plus, the commentary was always hilarious. Usually, it would be the Baku squad, other than Kacchan, commentating everything. But tonight, Izuku was going to commentate as much as he could. He could pull off a lot of different kinds of jokes, despite popular opinion. And he could also make other jokes that weren't Gen Z humor, also contrary to popular belief. That didn't mean he didn't make one. Kaminari and him were commentating, and suddenly, Jirou pulled up from 10th place, through both luck and skill, so she could finish the race in 2nd place. Izuku saw this as the perfect opportunity, and suddenly said, "That was legitness!" Kaminari looked just so lost, and Jirou started to laugh like crazy. Sin Amin roll. "Whoa, I am an axolotl. I under the water." Fluffy cat. "You good?" Sin Amin roll. "No." Izuku and Shinsou were hanging out with Eri. More of babysitting, but that doesn't really change anything. Shinsou was adopted by Aizawa-sensei earlier in the year, and so he was basically forced to hang out, babysit, Eri. Aizawa-sensei and Yamada-sensei were going out on a date. Which means he won the bet against Todoroki. He should really talk to him. But anyways, it meant that they were left with Eri in the teachers' dorms. The second Aizawa-sensei and Yamada-sensei left, he turned to Shinsou and stated, "A child." Shinsou replied back with, "No." Eri looked between the two of them, obviously not understanding. "What?" Izuku turned to Eri, not wanting to upset her. "It's a funny joke, Eri, and it's super old, so not understanding is normal." Izuku finished it off with a smile. "Can I learn the joke?" Izuku knew he was probably smiling like a madman. "Of course, Eri. So, Shinsou, you can't stop me. But anyways, as I was saying..." Izuku had gotten the class into another villain fight. Typical of him. And all they were trying to do was go to the amusement park. The villain had been using some sort of probably telekinetic quirk to fling knives at all of them, and one had nicked him. Nothing too bad, nothing life-threatening, but it had still hurt. He let out a small, "Mother trucker, that hurt like a butt cheek on a stick." Aizawa-sensei, probably in response to his weird but effective and creative curse, let out a, "What in the motherfucking..." Kyouka had not expected this training session to go like this. Tokoyami was trying to learn how to fly with Dark Shadow for long periods of time. Midoriya was yelling positive words of affirmation. Shinsou had fallen asleep at some point. And Hawks, the number 2 hero, had also appeared at some odd time. It had all felt really weird, and at that point, Tokoyami fell onto the ground with not a lot of grace, and to this had commented,
Hey, Ron.
At her. Kyouka blanked for the smallest of seconds before realizing what was going on and replied with a, "Hey, Billy." Dark Shadow popped out to say, "That hurt," with a small snort. Shinsou and Midoriya burst out into uncontrollable laughter, and even Hawks looked like he was trying not to laugh. Eventually, everyone, even Tokoyami, who almost never laughs, was in uncontrollable laughter. Cinnamon roll. Stop saying I'm like Chicken Little. He's little and a coward, and I am not a coward. Music for ears. So you admit to being little? Cinnamon roll. Wait, no. A murder.
He does.
Cinnamon roll. No. Shota liked to think that maybe, just maybe, teenagers couldn't be that bad. Every year, he was proven wrong. And this year was the worst. All he had wanted was an at least somewhat peaceful homeroom. Did he get that? No. Because right after he had given out announcements and tried to curl up in his sleeping bag, a loud song broke through the air, and then some sort of music started to play. The ones making the ruckus were the newly dubbed Insomnia Squad: Tokoyami, technically Dark Shadow, Midoriya, Jirou, and Shinsou. And they were all dancing.
What in the hell are you playing?
Midoriya looked at him like he was crazy, before responding, "Shrexophone, and you're ruining the vibe." He wasn't paid enough for this. So, Ace, these your friends? Hawks wanted to meet up, which Fumikage had tried to get out of, saying that he was hanging out with his best friends. Which backfired painfully, because Hawks had declared something akin to war, which was meeting up with all of them. He himself had said that he wanted to meet up with his Ayas's best friends. Fumikage tried to make an annoyed face, and replied with,
"Yes, sons and daughter of the moon are always welcome to befriend me and Dark Shadow."
Jirou, Shinsou, and Midoriya were all a step further from him and Hawks, and Jirou spoke up. "Look at all those chickens!" Fumikage wanted to faceplant and fall into the void. Hawks looked weirded out and asked the wrong question. "Am I missing something?" Shinsou looked done and told Midoriya, "Sure, just convert him or whatever. I'm not gonna stop you." Scratch that last comment. Now he wanted to jump into the void as fast as possible. Hawks learning Gen Z humor from the Lord of It was a terrible idea. At least Hawks wasn't paying as much attention to him, so his wish to be one with the void was at least coming true. Hitoshi was training with Kirishima and looked over to see Kirishima wearing Crocs. Welp, time to pull an Izuku, as they all started to call it. With no warning, he pointed at said Crocs and yelled, "What are those?" Kirishima looked confused, before hesitantly answering, "Those are my Crocs." Tokoyami was walking with Midoriya at that point, and looked over to him.
"May I convert him?"
Midoriya looked at where Tokoyami was pointing, which was at Kirishima, before humming and answering, "The more the merrier. Go ahead." Tokoyami walked up to Kirishima, while Hitoshi tried not to laugh.
"I need to explain to you what our Lord and Savior, Midoriya Izuku, has taught us, which is called Gen Z humor, so that you no longer have to be in the darkness."
Izuku woke up and chose chaos. It's not his fault he couldn't sleep, and his now sleep-deprived brain wanted chaos. So the very normal thing was to walk into the common room while everyone was eating and yell, "I'm running on 2 hours of sleep, suicidal thoughts, and an Oreo, and I'm ready to fight God. Or become him! I have the power of God and anime on my side. Today is going to go great." And since chaos is best served with no explanation, he booked it out of the dorms and let the chaos happen. Before he left, though, he heard Kaminari yelling, and then Kachan? Kaminari had yelled, "What is he talking about?" And Kachan had replied to Kaminari with a simple, "Oh, shut up! Eat breakfast and head to class." Izuku had gotten to class within 3 minutes, making him 20 minutes early. Aizawa-sensei was already there, and another chaotic plan was forming in his little sleep-deprived mind. "Aizawa-sensei?" A huff.
What problem child?
"Remember when we played Truxophone that one homeroom?"
Yes, it was annoying and probably killed a part of Ida's soul.
"And how after we—"
I'm assuming we is the Insomnia Squad, as you call yourselves.
"Yes. Anyways, remember how we explained some of Gen Z's humor?"
Yes. Why?
"Could you just say, 'Try me, bitch,' to any questions that seem like that would be an appropriate response? I am thriving for chaos today." Aizawa-sensei looked thoughtful for a bit, before responding with a smile that Izuku could now identify as his "creating chaos is what I live for" smile.
Sure, problem child.
And Aizawa-sensei had kept to his word. Ida asking too many questions, a response of,
"Try me, bitch."
Kaminari complaining about homework, a response of,
"Try me, bitch."
He had even responded to Vlad King with it during a joint heroes class. They were, very calmly, fighting over who had the hardest class to take care of, and Aizawa-sensei getting somewhat clearly pissed off before stating,
"Try me, bitch."
and walking away to help some other kid with their sparring. And Izuku loved it. Dark Shadow was angry, TM. So was Tokoyami. Why, you might ask? It is because some of their classmates tried to eat their apples, and they expressed this in the only way they knew how. Dark Shadow was full on yelling, "You come into my Chili's, barbecue on your titties, and disrespect my Valentino white bag." Tokoyami was less loud, but still somehow sounded angry, TM. He added on to Dark Shadow's words,
"Fuck, I can't believe you've done this. You've disrespected a future U.S. Army soldier."
And they continued on and on and on. Izuku was near this conflict and was proud. Tokoyami used to use a lot less of the Gen Z humor, so whenever he used it, Izuku was like a proud father. Meanwhile, Ojiro, Mina, Hagakure, and Koda just seemed so confused. All they had wanted was just some of Tokoyami's apples. Seems like they don't know how possessive Tokoyami and Dark Shadow are about their apples. Ah, well. Tokoyami's use of Gen Z terms were a sight to behold, and he couldn't miss one moment of it. And that is all for this chapter. Just to clarify, the chat, the Insomniac chat names. Fluffy Cat is Shinsou, Music for Ears is Jirou, Cinnamon Roll is Izuku, and A Murder is Tokoyami, just in case anyone was confused. But no, yeah, that another fun chapter of this fic. I really do enjoy all the references. It's indoctrinating people is the best part of a cult. So this cult is spreading in glorious, glorious ways. I'm so proud of them. I love it. Oh yeah. But that is all for this installment of In Which Midoriya Izuku is a Gen Z in Spirit. As always, link to the fic is in the description. Go leave a kudos, go leave a comment, whatever you can. I am sure the original author appreciates it. Anyway, that is all for this time. I will see you guys next time.